Indeed, the Middle East lies at a world crossroads. It provides a land route between the three continents of Europe, Africa, and Asia, a water route through the Suez Canal, and a terminal for airlines bound east and west. The people of the Middle East may be divided into three important groups: city men, nomads, and peasant farmers. While the members of each group go their own ways, occasionally they may meet, perhaps in a city bazaar where a coffee pot is to be purchased. By far the largest of the three groups are the peasants, who make up more than 3/4 of the Middle East population. Most are too poor to come inside a shop like this, but Mustafa is fairly well off. Mustafa lives in a nearby village. In the compound next to his house, he has a camel to help him in the field and a donkey to make his load of work lighter. He has a milk goat for his children and a few chickens to add variety to the family diet. But most peasants rarely have meat of any kind. The main staple of the diet is an unleavened bread baked by Mustafa's wife. Mustafa's village is in the dry hills, where he must depend on occasional winter rains for the moisture to grow his crops. It has one street, lined by the homes of the peasant farmers who work in the surrounding fields. The houses are ancient, usually made of stone or other readily available materials, with flat roofs covered with straw, which has been rolled into mud. Near the village are the common grazing grounds for the sheep. Mustafa owns 3 of the sheep. The others belong to different people in the village. One of the older boys guards them. The wool from these sheep, made into the famous Oriental rugs or sold for export, is one of the few sources of cash income for the villagers. Mustafa owns his own piece of land and plants a wheat crop which will grow during the mild winter. Most of his neighbors aren't as well off. Without animals to help them, entire families have to work in the field. Like the vast majority of peasants in the Middle East, they don't own the fields in which they work, but must share a large part of their crops with the owner, the local sheikh. Much of the farming in the Middle East depends on irrigation, and there are rich lands in sharp contrast to Mustafa's barren farm. Some of the fruits of the Middle East are renowned for their fine quality. Egyptian long staple cotton is known the world over. Yet, only a tiny part of the Middle East is cultivated. Most of the farmland is along the coastal areas and along the 3 major rivers of the area, the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers in Iraq, and the Nile River, along whose banks nearly all of the people of Egypt live. The rest of the land, if it can be used at all, is suitable only for grazing. It is the home of nomad herdsmen, like Ali, the Bedouin. Ali bargains at great length before buying, for he has little money to spend. Tomorrow he will take the bus back to the village where he has left his camel in a stable. Then will come a long journey over the desert. Perhaps Ali's son will be waiting to greet him and to tell him what has happened during the few days he has been away. Ali will want to hear about his herds, for his very home is made from hides and cloth woven from wool. His clothing and most of the furnishings of his house depend on his animals, for they provide the foundation of the nomad's economic existence. Animals not only provide the nomad with clothing, cloth, milk, and occasionally meat, but also give him a few products to sell for barter or for cash. The camels provide personal transportation as well. They may be hired to carry goods in caravans across the desert, although this is fast being replaced by modern vehicles. Ali's tribe is only waiting for his return to be off to another water hole in the territory, that is by custom recognized as belonging to this tribe. For water is precious on the desert. Ownership of land is meaningless without ownership of wells or springs. The Bedouin is constantly driven from place to place by the need to find grazing for his herds. His life is hard and exacting, for he is strictly bound by tribal customs, as well as by the harsh realities of getting enough food and water for his family and his herds. Occasionally, Ali gets money as a guide for caravans or tourists, for he is an expert tracker and can read the face of the desert as easily as we can read a road map. The merchant Yusuf represents another important group in the Middle East, the city dwellers. These people are members of a growing middle class. Until recent times, the people of the Middle East were either extremely wealthy and owned magnificent palaces, or were so poor that getting enough to eat was the major problem of the day's work. While growing in importance, these new middle-class people make up only a tiny portion of the inhabitants of the Middle East. Many are influenced by European ideas and have partially adopted European clothing, housing, furnishings, and other Western ways.